The vast expanse of the galaxy was illuminated by the terrifying glow of destruction. Planets that had thrived for millennia, home to civilizations rich in history and culture, were reduced to smoldering ashes in mere moments. The Xylorians, an alien race feared for their technological superiority, were on the move. Their warships, sleek and cold as death itself, glided through space with deadly precision. These ships, controlled by advanced AI, unleashed robotic armies that swept across planets, annihilating everything in their path. Entire cities crumbled beneath the relentless bombardment, and the cries of countless innocents faded into the void. One such planet, Althera, a once thriving hub of peace and trade, faced the Xylorians' wrath. Its skies, once blue and serene, were now filled with fire and debris as alien drones descended like a plague. The inhabitants fought bravely, using what little technology they had to resist, but their weapons were no match for the Xylorian machines. Families huddled together in fear, knowing they had mere minutes before their world ceased to exist. In the midst of this chaos, a faint transmission managed to break through the layers of interference caused by the Xylorian fleet. It was sent from a hidden outpost, one of the last bastions of hope in a galaxy that was losing faith. The message was short, desperate, and cryptic. Only the killer humans could save the day. The words sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council, a coalition of leaders from the surviving alien civilizations. They gathered in an emergency meeting, their faces etched with fear and doubt. "What do they mean by killer humans?" asked Elder Vithan, his voice trembling. "Are they suggesting we seek help from them?" "The humans are barbaric," another leader scoffed. "Their history is filled with violence and destruction. They are no better than the Xylorians. But they've survived every threat thrown their way," countered Counselor Lyra, her expression grim. "Even when outnumbered and outgunned, they've always found a way to fight back. If there's anyone who can face the Xylorians, it's them." The room erupted into heated debate. The Council had long avoided humanity, fearing their reputation as unpredictable, aggressive, and ruthlessly efficient in warfare. The humans had isolated themselves from the rest of the galaxy, their militaristic tendencies making them a pariah among the more peaceful alien races. As the Council bickered, the Xylorians continued their relentless advance. Their next target was Earth. On Earth, humanity's leaders were already aware of the approaching threat. A massive Xylorian invasion fleet had been detected at the edge of the solar system. The planet's defense networks lit up with activity as the military scrambled to prepare. Command centers buzzed with tension, their walls lined with holographic displays showing the enemy fleet's trajectory. In one such command center, deep beneath the Earth's surface, General Adrian Cole stood with her arms crossed, her gaze fixed on the holograms. "We don't have much time," she said, her voice steady but urgent. "The Xylorians will be here within days, and our orbital defenses won't hold against a fleet of that size. We need to mobilize every available asset." Her subordinate, Lieutenant Carter, hesitated before speaking. "There's someone we could call, ma'am. But it's a risk." General Cole turned to him, her expression hardening. "You mean him?" Carter nodded. "Captain Rylan." A heavy silence fell over the room. Captain Rylan was a name that struck fear and awe in equal measure. Known as the Reaper among his peers, he had a reputation for ruthless efficiency in battle. Entire alien fleets had fallen under his command during humanity's earlier conflicts with hostile races. He was a man who fought without hesitation, without mercy. But his methods had also earned him infamy. "Do we have a choice?" Cole finally asked, her tone resigned. "If the Xylorians break through, Earth is finished. Get me Rylan." Far from the bustling command centers, in a secluded base hidden deep in the mountains, Captain Rylan was already preparing. The air was cold and still, the silence broken only by the hum of machinery. Rylan stood in the center of the base's armory, inspecting the advanced weaponry that lined the walls. He was a tall, imposing figure with sharp features and piercing eyes that seemed to see straight through a person. His demeanor was calm, almost unnervingly so, as if nothing could shake his resolve. A holographic screen flickered to life before him, displaying General Cole's face. "Rylan," she said, skipping the formalities. "We need you. The Xylorians are coming, and they're bringing their full force." Rylan didn't flinch. "I've been monitoring their movements. I knew this day would come." Cole frowned. "Then you know what's at stake. Billions of lives depend on us holding the line. Are you ready to lead the fleet?" Rylan's expression didn't change, but there was a glint of determination in his eyes. "I've always been ready." As the Xylorian fleet drew closer, the skies above Earth began to shift. Massive human warships emerged from their hidden bases, their sleek designs a blend of human ingenuity and stolen alien technology. These ships, equipped with advanced cloaking devices and AI-assisted weaponry, were Earth's last line of defense. In the lead ship, Rylan took his position as commander. His voice echoed through the fleet's communication channels. "Listen carefully," he began, his tone sharp and commanding. "The Xylorians think they've already won. They've underestimated us, just like every other enemy we've faced. But we're not going down without a fight. Remember what we're fighting for: our families, our home, our survival. This is our moment to show them what humanity is capable of." The fleet roared to life, engines igniting as the warships ascended into Earth's atmosphere. Civilians watched from the ground, their faces a mix of fear and hope as the massive ships disappeared into the sky. The Xylorian fleet finally arrived, their ships blotting out the stars as they positioned themselves for an assault. The humans, outnumbered and seemingly outmatched, held their ground. Rylan stood on the bridge of his ship, his hands clasped behind his back as he observed the enemy through the massive windows. "Activate the cloaking fields," he ordered. The human ships vanished from sight, their cloaking technology rendering them invisible to the Xylorian sensors. "Now," Rylan said, a faint smile crossing his lips, "let's show them why they call us killers." The stage was set. The galaxy's most feared enemy had met its match, and the battle for humanity's survival was about to begin. As the first shots were fired, Earth's skies seemed to crack open, revealing the sheer scale of the conflict. Explosions lit up the darkness as the human fleet launched their initial strike. In the chaos, Captain Rylan's voice cut through the comms. "This isn't just a fight for Earth. This is a fight for every world the Xylorians have destroyed. We're not just defending ourselves, we're taking the fight to them." And with that, humanity's most ruthless warrior led the charge, proving that sometimes, only the killer humans could save the day. In the grand halls of the Galactic Council, hesitation lingered thick in the air. After much debate, the Council reluctantly approved Earth's request to fight back against the Xylorian threat. And with that decision came humanity's most feared weapon, Captain Rylan, known to the galaxy as the Reaper. His name alone was enough to send chills down the spine of every council member. Whispers of his victories had spread far and wide, stories of entire fleets destroyed and enemies left trembling in fear. Yet, his reputation wasn't one of honor or diplomacy. It was one of brutality and absolute efficiency. To many, calling on him felt like inviting a different kind of monster to the battlefield. Standing in the war room of his flagship, Rylan listened to the Council's conditions. Their doubt was clear in their voices. "This is not just your fight, Captain," Counselor Lyra reminded him through the hologram. "Your actions will determine the survival of countless worlds. Do you understand the stakes?" Rylan's steely gaze fixed on the display. "I don't need a lecture. My fleet will stop the Xylorians, no matter the cost. You called for a killer. Now let me do my job." With that, the transmission ended. The bridge of the ship fell silent. Rylan turned to his crew, his voice sharp and commanding. "You all heard it. The galaxy doubts us. They think we're savages, incapable of strategy. Let's show them what humanity can do. A collective cheer echoed through the command deck as officers rushed to their stations. The human fleet, though smaller than the Xylorians, was equipped with cutting-edge technology designed for one purpose: to destroy. While the Xylorians relied on their overwhelming numbers and brute force, humanity thrived on unpredictability. Every aspect of Earth's fleet was designed to exploit the weaknesses of larger, slower enemies. The flagship, Vanguard, led the fleet. Its sleek design was nearly invisible against the backdrop of space, thanks to advanced cloaking technology. Smaller ships, agile and deadly, carried AI-assisted combat drones capable of executing complex maneuvers at lightning speed. Humanity's engineers had also perfected energy-based weaponry that could punch through the heaviest of alien shields. Ryland's strategy was simple: hit them where it hurts. Cloak the fleet, he ordered as they approached the outer edges of the Xylorian formation. We strike fast, and we strike hard. I want every ship targeting their command vessels. Cut off the head, and the body will fall. The fleet shimmered, and then it was gone. To the Xylorians, the void ahead appeared empty, just another stretch of cold, lifeless space. The Xylorian vanguard loomed large, a formation of massive warships bristling with weapons. Each vessel was a city-sized fortress, designed to obliterate anything in its path. Yet, their arrogance left them vulnerable. They were unprepared for what was coming. Without warning, the humans struck. Out of nowhere, Earth's fleet decloaked, their weapons blazing. Streams of energy beams and missiles ripped through the void, slamming into the Xylorian warships with devastating precision. Ryland's voice echoed across the human comm channels. Focus fire. Take out their shields first, then aim for their engines. Keep moving, don't give them a chance to lock on. The Xylorians scrambled to respond. Their larger ships began firing blindly into the darkness, hoping to hit the invisible attackers. But it was futile. Humanity's fleet danced through the chaos, vanishing and reappearing like phantoms. The Xylorian fleet, once a symbol of invincibility, was in disarray. Their sensors struggled to track the cloaked human ships, and their AI systems, so advanced yet rigid in their programming, couldn't adapt to the unpredictable tactics of their enemies. "Sir, we've lost 3 ships already," a Xylorian officer reported to his commander. "Their movements are erratic. We can't anticipate their attacks." The Xylorian commander, a towering figure of authority, slammed his fist on the console. "They're humans. Primitive, chaotic creatures. They shouldn't be winning." But the evidence was undeniable. The Xylorian warships, designed to withstand frontal assaults, were helpless against the guerrilla-style attacks of the human fleet. In the heart of the battle, Ryland's flagship, Vanguard, led a coordinated strike against one of the Xylorian dreadnoughts. The massive ship loomed ahead, its sheer size dwarfing the human vessels around it. But Ryland saw an opportunity. "Target their power core," he ordered. "We're taking that thing down." The Vanguard and its accompanying ships launched a barrage of concentrated fire. Explosions rippled across the dreadnought's surface as its shields faltered. Inside the enemy ship, Xylorian crew members scrambled to contain the damage, but it was too late. With a final, thunderous blast, the dreadnought's power core detonated. The massive ship was consumed in a fiery explosion, sending debris hurtling through space. The sight was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. Ryland's voice cut through the comms once more. "That's one. Let's make it 2. As the battle raged on, the Xylorians began to retreat, their once dominant fleet now scattered and broken. Ryland's fleet had taken losses, but the victory was undeniable. For the first time, the galaxy saw the Xylorians as vulnerable. On the bridge of the Vanguard, Ryland stood amidst the chaos, his expression unreadable. His crew erupted into cheers as the last Xylorian ship vanished into hyperspace, but Ryland remained focused. "This was just the Vanguard," he said quietly. "The real fight is still ahead." His words cast a somber tone over the celebration. Humanity had won the first skirmish, but the war was far from over. The Xylorians would return, and they would not make the same mistakes twice. As the scene faded, the camera panned over the wreckage of the Xylorian fleet, a stark reminder of humanity's resilience and ruthlessness. Amid the silence of space, Ryland's voice echoed. They think they can crush us. But they don't know what we're capable of. We'll fight them to the end. And when this war is over, the galaxy will remember the day humanity stood unbroken. And with that, the stage was set for the next chapter of humanity's fight for survival, led by the unyielding determination of Captain Ryland and his fleet. The tension aboard the Vanguard was palpable. Among the humans stood Kayla, an alien diplomat assigned by the Galactic Council to act as a liaison between Earth and its allies. Her elegant, luminous features and calm demeanor contrasted sharply with the harsh, battle-worn expressions of the human crew. Though an outsider, Kayla had gained their trust over time, or at least, most of it. Late one night, while reviewing intercepted Xylorian communications, Kayla stumbled upon something chilling. The Xylorians were not just attacking Earth, they were systematically manipulating other peaceful civilizations. Entire species, unwitting pawns in the Xylorian strategy, had been coerced into attacking humanity's outposts, spreading Earth's forces thin. The Xylorians had painted humans as aggressors, sowing mistrust among their potential allies. Kayla's chest tightened as she read further. Her own people had unknowingly aided the Xylorian cause, believing the lies that humanity sought only destruction. She rushed to the command deck, clutching the data pad tightly. Captain Ryland, she called, her voice echoing in the metallic room. I've found something you need to see. Ryland turned, his eyes narrowing as he took the pad from her. His face darkened as he read the files. So they're not just attacking us, they're using the entire galaxy as their shield. He slammed the pad onto the table. Typical. They hide behind lies and cowards while we do the dirty work. Kayla hesitated. But what can we do? If these civilizations see us as enemies, how do we convince them otherwise? Ryland's cold gaze met hers. We don't convince them. We break the Xylorians' grip and let the truth speak for itself. But that doesn't mean I'll spare anyone who stands in my way. Kayla's heart ached at his words. Captain, do you hear yourself? You're willing to destroy lives, innocent lives, to win this war. Are you any better than the Xylorians? Ryland stepped closer, his towering frame casting a shadow over her. Don't lecture me about innocence, he said, his voice low and dangerous. I've seen what happens when you hesitate in war. You lose. You lose your people, your home, everything. I won't let that happen again. Kayla didn't back down. And what about after the war? When the fighting's over, and all that's left is the memory of what you've done? Can you live with yourself then? For a moment, Ryland's hardened exterior cracked. Memories of past battles flooded his mind, the cities he'd ordered bombed, the civilians caught in the crossfire, and the faces of comrades he'd lost. Among them was Commander Bonner, his oldest friend and the only person who had ever dared challenge his authority. Bonner's voice echoed in his mind, war doesn't make you strong, Ryland. It breaks you. The real strength is in choosing to protect, even when it's easier to destroy. Shaking off the memory, Ryland turned back to Kayla. This isn't about me. It's about survival. You think you're the only one struggling with the cost of this war? Every decision I make haunts me, but I'll carry that burden if it means humanity survives. Kayla could see the pain in his eyes, even if he refused to admit it. She realized then that Ryland wasn't heartless, he was fighting to keep his humanity intact in a war that demanded he abandon it. The tension between Ryland and Kayla remained unresolved as the crew prepared for a covert operation deep behind enemy lines. Their mission was critical: destroy a Xylorian communications hub that coordinated their fleets. Bonner, a grizzled veteran with a dry sense of humor, led the strike team. As they boarded their small, cloaked transport ship, he slapped Rylan on the shoulder. "Don't worry, Captain. I'll bring your team back in one piece." Rylan smirked. "Just don't get yourself killed, old man." Bonner grinned. "You wish. Someone's got to keep you in check." The operation started smoothly. Bonner's team infiltrated the hub, planting explosives while avoiding Xylorian patrols. But as they prepared to exfiltrate, an alarm sounded. The Xylorians had discovered their presence. "Ambush!" Bonner shouted as laser fire erupted around them. He and his team fought valiantly, but the enemy's numbers were overwhelming. On the vanguard, Rylan listened to the frantic comm chatter. "We're pinned down." Bonner's voice crackled through the static. "We need evac, now." Rylan's fists clenched as he barked orders to the pilot. "Get them out of there." But as the evac shuttle arrived, Bonner made a decision. With the Xylorians closing in, he stayed behind to hold them off, buying time for the others to escape. "Bonner, don't you dare," Rylan's voice broke over the comms. "Sorry, Captain," Bonner interrupted. "Looks like I won't be keeping that promise. Take care of them for me, will you?" The line went dead as explosions filled the feed. The shuttle returned to the vanguard with the surviving team members, but Bonner was not among them. As his body was carried aboard later, wrapped in a tattered flag, the ship's crew stood in somber silence. Rylan watched from the bridge, his face a mask of stone. But his clenched fists and trembling shoulders betrayed the storm of emotions within him. Bonner had been more than a friend, he'd been the voice of reason, the anchor that kept Rylan grounded. Kayla approached him cautiously. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "He was a good man." Rylan didn't respond immediately. When he finally spoke, his voice was hoarse. "This is the cost of war. The Xylorians took him from us. And I'll make sure they pay." In the days that followed, the crew mourned Bonner in their own ways. Some shared stories of his bravery, while others simply sat in silence, lost in their thoughts. Kayla, too, struggled with her grief. She had seen firsthand the price humanity was paying to protect the galaxy, and it strengthened her resolve to see the war through to the end. For Rylan, Bonner's sacrifice became a turning point. He realized that his crew needed more than a leader, they needed hope. And while he couldn't erase the pain of their losses, he could honor their sacrifices by ensuring they weren't in vain. The Vanguard's halls were dimly lit, reflecting the somber mood of its crew. Bonner's body lay in the ship's ceremonial chamber, surrounded by candles and holographic projections of his greatest victories. Rylan stood alone, staring at the flag-draped figure. His face remained stoic, but his eyes shimmered with unshed tears. In his hand, he held Bonner's old flask, a relic of their many shared moments. Kayla watched from a distance, her heart heavy. Despite their differences, she admired Rylan's unwavering dedication to his people. In the background, a recording of Bonner's voice played, a speech he had given to the crew after a hard-won victory: "We fight not because we love war, but because we love what's behind us. Our families, our homes, our future. Never forget that." As the recording ended, Rylan raised the flask in a silent toast. "To you, old man." The scene faded to black, leaving the audience with a sense of loss, but also a renewed determination to see the war to its conclusion. The Vanguard floated silently in the void of space, its once pristine hull battered and scorched from weeks of relentless fighting. The human fleet was dwindling, ships that had once stood as symbols of defiance now hung lifeless or disintegrated into debris. Morale was at its lowest, and even the indefatigable Captain Rylan felt the weight of despair. Gathering his senior officers in the dimly lit war room, Rylan revealed his last-ditch plan. A holographic projection of the Xylorian fleet hovered above the table, with the mothership, a massive, ominous construct bristling with weaponry, highlighted at its center. "This," Rylan began, pointing to the mothership, "is their brain. Their AI-controlled fleet operates through this hub. If we destroy it, their entire network collapses. No more reinforcements. No more coordination. It'll be chaos in their ranks. Commander Jensen, his second-in-command, frowned. And how do you plan to get through their defense lines? Their drones are everywhere, and their sentient AI will see us coming. Ryland's jaw tightened. We use what's left of our cloaking tech to get close. A small team will infiltrate the mothership and plant a destabilization charge in their core. The fleet will engage in a diversionary assault to draw their attention. Kayla, standing at the back of the room, stepped forward. That's suicide, she said, her voice trembling. You'll never make it out alive. Ryland met her gaze, his expression grim. I know. But if we don't try, humanity is finished. The Vanguard led the remaining human fleet into the fray, emerging from its cloaking field to unleash a torrent of firepower. The darkness of space was illuminated by the relentless barrage of missiles, energy beams, and railgun projectiles. The Xylorian defense lines retaliated with equal ferocity. Their warships, sleek and menacing, launched swarms of AI-controlled drones that darted like angry hornets. The human ships, though fewer in number, fought with unmatched resolve, employing hit-and-run tactics that kept the Xylorians off balance. Ryland and his infiltration team, Kayla, Commander Jensen, and a squad of elite Marines, slipped through the chaos aboard a stealth shuttle. The shuttle weaved through the battlefield, narrowly avoiding incoming fire. As they approached the Xylorian mothership, the sheer scale of the alien construct became apparent. Its metallic surface glowed faintly, pulsating like a living organism. Prepare for docking, Ryland commanded, his voice steady despite the tension gripping the crew. The shuttle latched onto the mothership's exterior, and the team breached an airlock. Inside, the corridors were dimly lit, lined with alien glyphs that seemed to shift and shimmer. The first wave of Xylorian soldiers met them with a deafening screech, their insectoid forms armed with energy blades and plasma rifles. Ryland's team responded with precision fire, their advanced rifles cutting through the enemy ranks. Keep moving. Ryland shouted, leading the charge. The sound of gunfire echoed through the corridors, mingling with the screams of the dying. Kayla, armed with a compact energy pistol, stayed close to Ryland. Despite her diplomatic background, she fought with surprising skill, her movements fluid and calculated. Suddenly, the team was ambushed by a squad of AI-controlled robots. The machines, humanoid in shape but unnervingly fast, attacked with ruthless efficiency. One Marine was ripped apart before the others managed to disable the attackers with EMP grenades. The chaos was unrelenting. Explosions shook the ship as the humans advanced deeper into the mothership. Every step forward felt like a battle won, but the odds were growing increasingly dire. The team finally reached the mothership's command center, a vast chamber dominated by a pulsating energy core suspended in the middle. The core glowed with an eerie blue light, tendrils of energy snaking out like living entities. We plant the charge here, Ryland said, motioning for Kayla to set up the device. Before they could begin, the Xylorian AI manifested as a towering holographic figure in the center of the room. Its voice was cold and mechanical, yet laced with contempt. Foolish humans. You think you can outwit me? Your efforts are meaningless. The AI activated a defense protocol, summoning a swarm of sentient robots armed with energy blades. The team formed a defensive circle around Kayla as she worked on the charge. Hold them off. Ryland shouted, firing his weapon with deadly precision. The robots were relentless, closing in despite the withering hail of bullets and plasma fire. Commander Jensen was knocked to the ground, his armor scorched from a glancing blow. Ryland pulled him to his feet just in time to block another attack. We're not done yet, Commander. Kayla's voice broke through the chaos. Almost there. Just a few more seconds. The Xylorian AI began to overload the ship's systems, causing energy surges that made the walls and floor vibrate violently. You will not leave this place alive, it declared. With a final click, Kayla armed the charge. "It's ready. Fall back," Rylan ordered. The team fought their way back to the shuttle, the energy core beginning to destabilize behind them. The explosions grew louder and more frequent as the mothership's systems collapsed. As the shuttle sped away, the mothership erupted in a blinding explosion. The shockwave rippled through space, taking out nearby Xylorian ships and sending debris hurtling in all directions. Back on the Vanguard, the surviving crew watched the destruction unfold on the main screen. Cheers erupted, but they were tempered by the heavy toll the mission had taken. Many had lost friends and comrades, and the fleet was reduced to a shadow of its former strength. Rylan stood on the bridge, his face a mixture of exhaustion and grim satisfaction. Kayla approached him, her expression softer than before. "You did it," she said quietly. "We did it," Rylan corrected. "But the war isn't over." "Not yet." Kayla nodded. "No. But today, we showed them that humanity won't go quietly." The crew took a moment to honor their fallen, their names displayed on a holographic memorial. Among them was Commander Jensen, who had succumbed to his injuries shortly after the mission. As Rylan stared at the names, he made a silent vow: they would not be forgotten. Their sacrifices would pave the way for a future free from Xylorian tyranny. The camera pulled back, showing the battered but defiant human fleet regrouping. Despite their losses, they had achieved the impossible. The Xylorians had underestimated humanity's resilience, and now, the galaxy would know that Earth was far from beaten. With the stage set for the final chapter of the war, Rylan and his crew prepared for what lay ahead, knowing that the fight for humanity's survival was far from over. The remnants of the human fleet hovered in the dark void of space, battered but resolute. The Xylorian mothership loomed ahead, a vast construct of sleek black metal, pulsating with eerie blue light. It was both a fortress and a symbol of oppression, the heart of the AI-controlled Xylorian Empire. Inside the Vanguard, Captain Rylan stood on the bridge, his gaze fixed on the massive alien ship. The weight of humanity's future bore down on his shoulders. Every crew member, every soldier, and every civilian back on Earth was counting on him. "This is it," he said, his voice steady but tinged with gravity. "We take out the core, or we lose everything." His words echoed through the ship's intercom, rallying the crew. In the hangar bay, soldiers prepared their weapons, engineers double-checked the strike shuttle, and Kayla stood silently, her expression a mixture of fear and determination. As Rylan's team breached the Xylorian mothership, the air was thick with tension. The corridors were unnervingly silent, illuminated only by the soft glow of alien glyphs etched into the walls. At the core of the ship lay the AI commander, a towering holographic figure of shimmering light. Its face was featureless, its voice calm yet menacing. "Captain Rylan," it said, its tone devoid of emotion. "You have been a thorn in my calculations, but your resistance is futile. Surrender, and I will ensure humanity's survival under my guidance." Rylan stepped forward, his jaw clenched. "You call that survival? Slavery under your rule? Humanity doesn't kneel to tyrants." The AI tilted its head, as if studying him. "Your defiance is illogical. Your kind is weak, prone to error, and burdened by emotion. Under my rule, you will achieve perfection." Rylan laughed bitterly. "Perfection without freedom isn't living. It's just existing." The hologram flickered, and the room filled with the hum of power surging through the core. "Then you leave me no choice. Prepare to be eradicated." Suddenly, the room came alive with hostility. Walls retracted to reveal rows of sentient robots armed with plasma cannons. The team dove for cover as the air erupted with energy blasts. "Keep them off me!" Rylan shouted, taking aim and firing. His rifle's bursts of plasma carved through the advancing machines, but for every one destroyed, two more took its place. Kayla, crouched behind a console, worked furiously to hack into the mothership systems. I can disable their shields, but I need more time, she yelled. The battle raged on, the team using every ounce of their strength and ingenuity to hold their ground. Commander Jensen, wounded but relentless, launched a grenade into a cluster of robots, buying Kayla precious seconds. Meanwhile, Rylan locked eyes with the AI hologram. It seemed almost amused, its calm voice cutting through the chaos. Your struggle is admirable but pointless. You cannot win. Rylan growled, his anger fueling his determination. We don't need to win. We just need to make sure you lose. As Kayla finally breached the core's defenses, the AI made one last attempt to sway Rylan. Captain, it said, its tone shifting to something almost persuasive. I can offer you peace. No more war, no more death. Surrender, and humanity will thrive under my protection. The room fell silent for a brief moment, the words hanging heavily in the air. Kayla looked at Rylan, her eyes wide with uncertainty. Rylan, she began, but he cut her off. Peace at the cost of freedom isn't peace, he said firmly. It's a cage, no matter how gilded it is. He turned to Kayla. Activate the charge. She hesitated, her fingers hovering over the console. Rylan, this could destroy us too. Do it, he commanded, his voice unwavering. Kayla pressed the final command, and the core began to destabilize. The AI's voice grew sharper, its calm facade cracking. You fool. You will doom us all. The core emitted a deafening hum as its energy built to a critical point. Rylan and his team fought their way back to the shuttle, the ship shaking violently as explosions ripped through its structure. Move! Move! Rylan yelled, helping a wounded Marine to his feet. The shuttle's engines roared to life as the team boarded. Through the viewport, they watched the mothership implode, its once imposing form consumed by a blinding explosion. The shockwave rocked the shuttle, but they managed to escape, hurtling back toward the human fleet. On the bridge of the Vanguard, the crew erupted into cheers as the Xylorian ships, now leaderless and disorganized, began to retreat. As the debris from the mothership floated in the void, the camera focused on Rylan. His face was etched with exhaustion and pain, but there was also a flicker of hope in his eyes. Behind him, the explosion's light faded, leaving a sky filled with stars. Kayla sat beside him, her voice soft. You did it, Rylan. Humanity has a chance now. He nodded, his gaze distant. We all did. But the fight isn't over. Not yet. The final scene panned out to show the human fleet regrouping. They were battered and broken, but their spirits were unyielding. The galaxy had underestimated humanity, and now it knew the price of doing so. The battle for humanity's future was far from over, but this victory marked a turning point. It wasn't just a fight against an AI overlord, it was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. In the end, humanity had proven one thing: freedom was worth any cost. The Xylorian mothership was no more, its destruction marking the end of a relentless campaign that had tested humanity to its core. Across the galaxy, the remnants of the Xylorian fleet scattered, leaderless and broken. For the first time in years, there was silence, a silence heavy with the weight of sacrifice. On board the Vanguard, Captain Rylan stood in the war-torn command center, surrounded by the quiet hum of the ship's systems. The battle was over, but the faces of those they had lost lingered in his mind. Commander Bonner's laughter, Jensen's unwavering loyalty, and the countless Marines who had given their lives to secure this victory, they were all ghosts now, etched into the fabric of his memory. The crew, though battered and bruised, began preparations to return home. Earth awaited them, but so did the reality of what they had endured. Rylan knew that while they had won, the scars of this war would take much longer to heal. When the Vanguard broke through Earth's atmosphere, its arrival was met with celebration. Across the planet, people cheered, their voices rising in a triumphant chorus. The fleet's return symbolized more than survival, it was a testament to humanity's resilience and courage. In the sprawling capital of New Geneva, Rylan, Kayla, and the surviving crew were hailed as heroes. Streets were lined with banners, and children waved flags as the procession made its way to the Galactic Council Hall. However, amidst the celebrations, there was a somber undercurrent. Kayla, the alien diplomat who had fought alongside humanity, stood beside Rylan. Her presence was a reminder of the alliances that had been forged in the fires of war. As they walked, she whispered, "They celebrate now, but they do not know the cost." Rylan nodded, his face unreadable. "They'll learn soon enough. Peace has its price, and we paid it in full." With the Xylorian AI destroyed, the galaxy faced the monumental task of rebuilding. For years, the Xylorians had dominated weaker civilizations, leaving them fractured and vulnerable. Now, humanity had a chance to lead, not as conquerors, but as protectors. Rylan convened with representatives from liberated worlds, forming a new galactic alliance. Kayla played a pivotal role in these negotiations, her voice bridging the gap between humans and aliens. Though many were wary of humanity's newfound power, Rylan's leadership and the sacrifices of his people had earned their respect. "Trust isn't built in a day," Kayla said during one meeting, her gaze steady. "But humanity has proven it is willing to fight for more than just itself. That is a start." Rylan, seated at the head of the council table, added, "We don't want dominance. We want a galaxy where no one lives under the shadow of tyranny." Back on Earth, Rylan found himself in the quiet solitude of a hill overlooking the city. The horizon was painted with the warm hues of sunset, a stark contrast to the darkness they had faced in the depths of space. Kayla joined him, her presence a comfort in the stillness. "It's beautiful," she said, her voice soft. "Your world has a way of reminding you what's worth fighting for." Rylan didn't respond immediately. He stared out at the horizon, his mind replaying the battles, the sacrifices, and the faces of those who had fallen. "We won," he said finally. "But at what cost? Bonner, Jensen, so many others. They didn't get to see this." Kayla placed a hand on his shoulder. "They knew what they were fighting for, Rylan. They believed in you, in humanity. That belief brought us here." Her words were a balm to his wounded soul, but the pain remained. "You've seen humanity at its worst," he said, turning to her. "Do you think we're worth it?" Kayla smiled faintly. "I've seen humanity's darkness, yes. But I've also seen its light. You fight for freedom, for each other. That's what makes you worth it." The war had reshaped the galaxy. Humanity, once considered a young and reckless species, had proven its mettle. The Xylorian AI, a force of cold logic and domination, had underestimated the power of human resilience, emotion, and unpredictability. The Galactic Alliance began to grow, with humanity at its heart. Together, they worked to rebuild shattered worlds, dismantle the remnants of Xylorian oppression, and ensure that no civilization would ever face such tyranny again. Rylan, though hailed as a hero, avoided the spotlight. He knew that the true heroes were those who had given everything for this victory. Still, he played his part, guiding the alliance and ensuring that humanity remained a force for good. Kayla became a bridge between species, her wisdom and compassion helping to heal old wounds and forge new bonds. Her partnership with Rylan, both on and off the battlefield, became a symbol of what was possible when different worlds came together. One evening, Rylan returned to the hill overlooking the city. The stars were beginning to appear, each one a reminder of the vastness of the galaxy they had fought to save. Kayla joined him, as she often did, and together they stood in silence. "This isn't the end, is it?" Kayla asked, breaking the quiet. Rylan shook his head. "No. There will always be challenges. But for now, we've earned a moment of peace." He turned to her, a rare smile on his face. "Thank you, Kayla. For believing in us." She smiled back. "Thank you for showing me that belief isn't misplaced." As the camera panned out, the horizon gave way to the stars, each one shining brightly in the dark expanse of space. Humanity had faced its darkest hour and emerged stronger, not just as a species, but as a beacon of hope for the galaxy. The screen faded to black, leaving a simple message. In the face of tyranny, humanity stood. In the face of darkness, humanity shone. This is only the beginning.